recently I've been learning about the Canadian military, and the first video I made on this subject was about the Canadian Special Forces, and people told me about this, the Joint Task Force 2, one of the most elite special forces operations, or I don't know if that's what you call it, but units, I think, in the world. And it says here Canada's Tier 1 unit. So I think this might be comparable to maybe like the SAS in the UK. And tell me again if I'm completely wrong there maybe. But tell me what you know about the Joint Task Force 2. Do you know anybody that's ever been in it? What's it actually like? This is a little small documentary, I think, about it. So we're going to learn about it here. Let's watch.
In today's video, we're going to talk about Canada's elite Joint Task Force 2 and its spectacular operations. What is JTF-2? When we talk about Canada's elite military forces, the first thing that comes to mind is Joint Task Force 2, JTF-2, the top-tier Special Ops team in the Canadian Armed Forces. They operate under the Canadian Special Operations Forces Command and have a reputation for working closely with other elite forces worldwide, such as the American Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, the British Special Air Service, Special Boat Service, and the Australian Special Air Service Regiment and 2nd Commando Regiment. Established on April 1st, 1993, JTF-2 is all about action. They're based in Dwyer Hill, Ottawa, Ontario, and their motto, Facta non verba, which means deeds not words in Latin, says it all. They've been part of various missions, from Operation Assurance in Rwanda to involvement in the Yugoslav wars, the 1999 East Timorese crisis, and the War on Terror. JTF-2 has left its mark, no doubt. Now, much of what they do is hush-hush, but we know they're a big deal in Canadian special operations. They're pros at counter-terrorism, both at home and abroad. Their skills include direct action, special reconnaissance and surveillance, hostage rescue, protective security, foreign internal defense, and more. Respected commanders like Lieutenant General Michael Rouleau, Colonel Barry McLeod, and Lieutenant Colonel Ray Romseys have led JTF-2. They're recognized by their tan berets. How did it all start?
Yeah, so just before we find out how it started, like it mentioned that sort of alliance there between the US, UK and Australian Special Forces units. Like that combination, is there any other combination of countries that could come close to the skills and ability of those? Like, is there anything for us from the UK, for instance, to be worried about? Like, if China, like Russia, and these other countries, I don't really know much about their special forces, but if they had some sort of alliance, could they come anywhere close to our special forces? Maybe. I'm going to guess not, but I don't really know.
And progress. In 1992, Deputy Minister of Defence Robert Fowler suggested to Governor-General Ray Natishin the disbanding of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police's Special Emergency Response Team, or CERT. The goal was to create a new military counter-terrorism group, due to the Canadian forces having more recruits available compared to civilian police forces. This was aimed primarily to address concerns about police being trained in lethal methods. By early 1993, the unit became operational with just over 100 members, mainly from the Canadian Airborne Regiment and Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. They set up their base at the CERT facility on Dwyer Hill Road near Ottawa, parking a Greyhound bus and a DC-9 aircraft there for training purposes. Their first mission, Operation Campus, focused on safeguarding highways and water treatment plants around the Oka Reserve. This came following a police attempt to crack down on smuggling on the native reserve following the Oka crisis. Unfortunately, 2 Quebec newspapers revealed the operation just days before its execution, leading to its cancellation. In December 2001, the federal budget allocated approximately $120 million over 6 years to enhance the unit's capabilities and double its size to around 600 personnel. This funding was part of a broader security strategy following the September 11, 2001 attacks. Organization, structure, and assets. Joint Task Force 2 operates within the Canadian Special Operations Forces Command, or CANSOFCOM, collaborating with units such as the Canadian Joint Incident Response Unit, CJIRU, Canadian Special Operations Regiment, CSOR, 427 Special Operations Aviation Squadron, or 427 SOAS, and the Canadian Special Operations Training Centre CSOTC. As a crucial component of CAN's Ofcom, JTF-2 comprises approximately 300 personnel with an average age of 37. Led by a Lieutenant Colonel, the Dwyer Hill facility includes various amenities like a close-quarter battle facility, a DC-10 aircraft, a gymnasium, Olympic-sized swimming pool, a well-equipped shooting range, and an 8-story building for hostage rescue training. Operating in specialized teams known as BRICS, typically consisting of 2 or 4 members with specific expertise such as sniping or communications, JTF-2 holds Tier 1 status in terms of Tactics, Techniques and Procedures, or TTP, primarily engaging in direct action operations. The unit specializes in counter-terrorism operations both domestically and internationally, covering tasks such as hostage rescue, foreign internal defense, protective security, special reconnaissance and surveillance. JTF-2's tactical repertoire includes climbing cliffs and ladders, conducting close-quarter battles, disarming ground fighting, lifting and pulling, moving a non-compliant person, parachuting and rappelling. What does it take to become a member of the unit?
Okay, I think that would be a good question, and I'd be very interested to know. Just with regards to the JTF-2, people told me on the first video that like Canadian military, and I guess that would include the Special Forces as well, as they maybe don't get the funding or the investment that some other countries like the US get, but what they actually do get invested in, like the equipment and things, they actually make the most of it, like with regards to actually ability. Some people told me in the comments the Canadian military and the Canadian Special Forces potentially could be one of the best in the world. What do you think about that? Do you think that's fair? How do they compare to the other countries in that alliance, like the British, American and Australian Special Forces? How do they compare? What are the JTF-2 better at compared to those other ones? What are the other ones better at compared to JTF-2 as well? And yeah, what does it take to become a member? I really always like to see these sort of things because it does vary quite a lot from my basic understanding between the countries. Like for instance, what I know about the SAS is like they're not wanting like the biggest, most athletic, strongest guys. They want just people who are like got very strong mental strength and resilience. They could look like normal guys, but they just want that kind of spirit, if something. But what about JTF-2 sets them apart from other special forces?
For those aspiring to join the unit, prior military experience is a prerequisite. Notably, gender and marital status are not factors in the selection process, although the unit has yet to integrate female operatives into its ranks. General requirements for potential JTF-2 candidates include a minimum of 2 years of military service for regular forces and 3 years for reserve forces. Clearance ability, passing a thorough medical examination, completion of the pre-screening physical fitness test or PFT, and parachute training. There are 3 distinct paths to becoming a JTF-2 member. One as a Special Operator Assaulter, or SOA, for direct tactical tasks, another for personnel handling combat support tasks, and a third for involving the recruitment of active combat service support personnel. The journey to becoming a JTF-2 member is both lengthy and arduous. The training regimen is rigorous, encompassing physical and mental challenges, and is highly selective. Recruits must successfully navigate a series of tests, including the JTF-2 PFT for Special Operator Assaulter, and this includes exercises such as a 65-foot shuttle run, a minimum of 40 press-ups and 40 sit-ups in 1 minute, and at least 5 pull-ups, a combat swim test involving an 82-foot swim in full combat gear, an 8-mile loaded march with 77 pounds in less than 2 hours and 26 minutes, and a casualty evacuation task covering a distance of 82 feet while carrying a soldier of similar size and their weapon. During the 7 days of the JTF-2 Assessment Center, following the PFT, candidates undergo evaluations in individual and teamwork tasks, interpersonal skills, phobia tests, physical fitness, and psychological profiling.
Phobia
This
tests.
phase is pivotal, assessing a candidate's ability to handle weaponry, identify and respond to threats, make decisions under mental and physical stress, and accurately recall directions and locations. Members of Joint Task Force 2 are held to an exceptionally high standard. The final phase of selection is the Special Operations Assaulter Course, or SOAC, lasting around 7 months. Operations of JTF-2. Zaire. In November 1996, JTF-2 was deployed to Zaire as a protection unit. Their mission was to assist Canadian General Maurice Maril in meeting Rwandan-backed rebel leader Laurent Kabila. However, JTF-2 convoys faced attacks by Congolese militias during that mission. In the same year, the unit was also sent to Haiti to advise and train security forces under President René Préval, focusing on weapons raids and repelling armed revolutionaries. In February 2004, the Canadian Army once again deployed JTF-2 to Haiti, taking control of the airport on the 29th. The elite unit's mission included securing the then President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who was taken into custody by US Marines. Additionally, JTF-2 was tasked with protecting the Canadian Embassy during the crisis. Olympics in Vancouver. In 2010, JTF-2 troops were assigned to provide support and security at the Winter Olympics Games in Vancouver. With some forces on standby, others were backed by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Despite the low threat level during the Olympics, the Canadian government increased the defense budget to enhance security, allocating around $165 million for military operations during the Games. JTF-2 also provided security to prominent individuals in combat zones. In May 2007, the unit protected the then Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Afghanistan. Following the 9/11 attacks in December 2001, the Canadian government deployed around 40 JTF-2 soldiers to Afghanistan as part of Task Force K-BAR. This marked the unit's first major combat deployment outside Canada. Working alongside international forces, JTF-2 soldiers were involved in capturing Taliban leaders and eliminating Taliban or Al-Qaeda militants. In March 2002, JTF-2 participated in Operation Anaconda, working alongside the New Zealand Special Air Service and the US Army Special Forces Operational Detachment A. In 2004, JTF-2 received a commendation for heroism from the US President George W. Bush for their efforts in Afghanistan. In July 2005, additional units were sent to Afghanistan attached to a US Special Forces command in the Kandahar base. In August 2021, the Canadian Army deployed JTF-2 alongside the CSOR to Afghanistan to destroy sensitive documents and assist with the evacuation of staff from the Canadian Embassy in Kabul following the Taliban takeover. Iraq. In 2006, JTF-2 collaborated with the US and the UK to rescue 4 Christian peace activists in Iraq. Task Force Knight, the UK Special Forces Task Force, launched Operation Lightwater, with JTF-2 assisting in the recovery mission. In 2014, JTF-2 participated in Operation Impact, a Canadian operation aimed at training the Iraqi government military to combat the Islamic State in Iraq. Syria. On June the 22nd, 2017, a JTF-2 sniper achieved a potentially record-breaking shot, killing an Islamic State fighter at a distance of 2.2 miles. Stationed atop a skyscraper, the sniper and spotter took 4 seconds for the shot to reach the target, using a Macmillan TAC-50 .5 heavy caliber rifle.
Nice.
This
Tell me more about
surpassed
that,
the
if you know.
previous record set in 2009 by British Corporal Craig Harrison, who scored a kill from 1.5 miles.
Oh,
That's
so
it
much
for today's
further,
video.
really.
If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and comment on this video.
That was really cool, man. So yeah, like nice to like hear about the entry requirements, but also cool to just hear about their different operations. A lot of varied operations, like ranging from security to like getting in there and document destruction in, was that Kabul that you mentioned? But in a lot of these like countries that a lot of like the British military have been in, like Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq and so on. So it's good to see that those those countries working as allies and things. And yeah, a lot of important roles there, even domestically at the Vancouver Olympics doing security and so on. So like a very versatile unit, clearly very high entry requirement. I'm sure the training's great and stuff as well. But tell me what you think about that. If you're from Canada, how proud are you of the JTF2? Do you know anybody that's ever been in it? Have you ever been in it yourself? Have you ever tried to go into it? Anything like that? Tell me your own stories, but tell me more about you, what you know about JTF2. Thanks.